Today, we're diving deep into your body's ultimate filtration plant. It's a system you probably don't think about much, but, well, it's one you absolutely cannot live without.
I mean, it's a pretty basic question, right? You drink something, and eventually you have to go. It seems super straightforward, but what's really going on is so much more critical than just making room for your next cup of coffee.
Yeah, you heard that right. Life or death. See, the very act of living, of your cells doing their jobs, creates toxic byproducts all the time. And without a way to constantly clear them out, they would build up to lethal levels. So this isn't just about plumbing. It's literally about survival.
So let's talk about this problem. The thing is, life itself is kind of a messy business. Every living creature, from the tiniest insect to us, is constantly producing toxic waste just by being alive.
The fancy term for this cleanup job is excretion. And our bodies make all sorts of waste, but the really dangerous stuff, the stuff we absolutely have to get rid of, comes from breaking down things like proteins. This creates what are called nitrogenous wastes, and believe me, you do not want that stuff hanging around.
What's so cool about this is seeing how different animals evolved different solutions to this exact same problem. So if you're a fish, you're surrounded by water, right? You can just release the most toxic stuff, ammonia, and let the water dilute it away. No problem. But for us mammals on land, that's not an option. So we had to get clever. We spend energy to convert that toxic ammonia into a much safer substance called urea, which doesn't need nearly as much water to get rid of. And then you have birds and reptiles. They're the masters of water conservation. They turn their waste into uric acid, which is almost a solid paste. So cool.
Okay, so we've established our waste product is urea. So how do we handle it? Well, we have evolved this incredibly sophisticated and elegant solution, the human filtration system. It really is a marvel of biological engineering.
So here's the big picture of the whole setup. You've got your two bean-shaped kidneys, and these are the real powerhouses doing all the hard work. All your blood flows through them, the waste liquid they produce, which we'll soon call urine, travels down these tubes called ureters. It gets stored in the bladder, and then, well, you know the rest. It looks simple enough, but the real magic, the really incredible stuff, is happening at a scale you can't even see. All right, let's zoom in and slice a kidney open. See those two different zones? There's that lighter outer layer that's called the cortex, and then the darker inner section was called the medulla. This separation isn't just for looks. It's absolutely essential for how the kidney works. But you know what? We've got to go even deeper. And there it is. Meet the hero of our story, a tiny, microscopic structure called the nephron. This right here is the real workhorse. It's the functional unit where blood gets filtered and urine actually starts to form. Just a tiny, intricate little machine with a massive, massive job. And we're not just talking about a few of these. Your body packs nearly 1 million of these little filtration factories into each of your kidneys. Think about that. Millions of them, all working together, all at once. The scale of it is just, it's mind-boggling.
So how does one of these tiny nephrons take in blood full of waste and turn it into clean blood and a little bit of urine? Well, it's a beautifully efficient 3-step process.
Okay, the best way to think about this is to imagine you're cleaning a super messy room. The first step, filtration, is like just throwing everything, and I mean everything, out of the room into the hallway. Good stuff, bad stuff, all of it. Step 2 is reabsorption. That's when you go into the hallway and carefully pick up all the valuable things you actually wanted to keep, your phone, your wallet, your keys. And finally, step 3 is secretion. This is like doing one last sweep of the room for any bits of trash you might have missed. To really get how big this job is, though, you gotta see the numbers. Check this out. Every single day, your kidneys filter about 180 liters of fluid out of your blood. 180? That is enough to fill a large bathtub. It's just a massive amount. All the water, salts, glucose, amino acids, and of course the waste, it all gets pushed out into the nephrons. But hang on a second. You obviously don't pee out 180 liters a day. That would be insane. On an average day, you only release about 1.5 liters of urine. So what happened to the other 178.5 liters? Where did it all go? And there's our answer. The system is designed for maximum efficiency. It's not a mistake, it's a feature. It throws almost everything out first and then meticulously reclaims over 99% of it. That is the critical step of reabsorption. Absolutely brilliant.
Okay, so let's follow the journey on this diagram here.
Right after filtration, in that first coiled part, the body immediately grabs back most of the good stuff, all the glucose, amino acids, and a ton of water and salt. Then, the fluid takes a deep dive into what's called the loop of Henle. Now, this loop is a stroke of genius. On the way down, water is pulled out. On the way up, salt is actively pumped out. Why? This creates a super salty environment in the kidney tissue, which is the secret to pulling out even more water later on. After a few final adjustments in the last part of the tubule, what's left is concentrated waste. It's urine ready to be collected.
But here's the thing. This is not just some passive filter like you have in your coffee machine. Nope. It is a smart, responsive system that is constantly adjusting what it's doing based on your body's needs. And it does this mainly using hormones.
So how does that work? Well, imagine you're dehydrated, or you've lost some blood, and your blood pressure starts to drop. There's a special little sensor right there in the kidney, the JGA, that detects this drop. And when it does, it sounds the alarm.
This alarm triggers an amazing chain reaction. First, the JGA releases an enzyme called renin. Renin then activates a hormone called angiotensin II, and this hormone is a serious multitasker. It immediately constricts your blood vessels all over your body to raise your blood pressure. And at the same time, it tells your body to release another hormone called aldosterone. Aldosterone's job is to tell the kidneys, hey, hold on to more salt and water, don't let it go. More water in the blood means higher blood volume, which brings your blood pressure right back up to where it should be. It's a perfect, self-regulating feedback loop.
So, you can probably imagine, given how absolutely vital this whole system is, that when it starts to fail, the consequences can be incredibly serious.
If the kidneys can't filter properly, that toxic urea builds up in the blood. That's a condition called uremia, and it's poisonous. Sometimes minerals can crystallize and form incredibly painful kidney stones. For people whose kidneys have failed completely, there's a machine, an artificial kidney that can do the job through a process called hemodialysis. But for total renal failure, the ultimate solution is, of course, a kidney transplant.
So I want you to just think about this for a second. Every single day, this incredible, silent system is working tirelessly in the background, filtering your entire supply of blood more than 30 times over, just to keep you alive and healthy. So the real question is, knowing just how hard they work for you, what can you do to help them out?